Okay, so picture this. Deep in a Danish bog, a cold case, 3,300 years old, is just waiting, perfectly preserved. We're talking about a teenage girl, her clothes, her hair, even what she last ate. For decades, we were pretty sure we had her story figured out. But it turns out this ancient mystery was holding on to a secret so big, it was about to completely flip our understanding of the Bronze Age on its head.
And that really is the heart of what we're talking about today. Can a single 23-centimeter-long strand of blonde hair really rewrite thousands of years of history? Because in the case of the Igved girl, that's exactly what happened. That one piece of evidence holds the key to her entire life story. A story that, for a long time, we got dramatically and completely wrong.
So let's go back to the beginning. The year is 1921. A farmer out in Egtved, Denmark, is clearing an old burial mound from his land when his plow just smacks into something hard. Turns out it's an oak log coffin. And later, using tree ring dating, we find out it was sealed in the summer of 1370 BCE. The condition of what was inside is just wow. It's incredible. See, the bog's environment, super acidic, waterlogged, almost no oxygen, it acted like a perfect time capsule. Now, it did dissolve her bones, but it tanned her skin, her hair, her clothes. It gave scientists this unbelievable window into the past. It's no wonder she became a total icon in the world of bioarchaeology. And the things she was buried with, they tell us she was a big deal. That huge bronze belt plate, it's a major symbol of a sun cult, which was a huge religion back in the Bronze Age. Her wool skirt is a sensation, literally the best preserved one ever found. And at her feet, a bucket with this fancy beer made from wheat, honey, and cowberries. But there was also something really unsettling found with her, the cremated remains of a little kid, about 5 or 6 years old. So all the signs point to her being a really important person. But the most basic question of all just hung in the air for almost 100 years. Was she even from Egved? And this, right here, is where modern science steps into this very old cold case. To finally crack the mystery of where she came from, scientists turned to this amazing forensic tool called stable isotope analysis. You can think of it as a way to read the hidden chemical signatures locked inside her body.
The key ingredient here is an element called strontium. You find it everywhere, in rocks, in soil. It gets into our food and water. And here's the really cool part. Its unique isotopic signature gets locked into our teeth and bones as they form. It's basically a natural geological GPS. You know the saying, you are what you eat? Well, it turns out you are, quite literally, where you ate it. And this is exactly why her hair became the star witness in this whole investigation. Hair is always growing, and it's constantly locking in the strontium signature from wherever you happen to be. Her 23 centimeters of hair gave researchers a month-by-month chemical diary of the last 2 years of her life. So what did this chemical diary actually say? Well, in 2015, a team of scientists analyzed her teeth, nails, and of course, her hair. And the results? They were an absolute bombshell. It completely rewrote the history of the Bronze Age. Get this, her tooth enamel, which forms when you're a little kid, had a strontium signature that didn't match any known geology in Denmark. Instead, it pointed to a region over 800 kilometers away, the Black Forest in Germany. The Egtved girl, a Danish icon, wasn't Danish at all. And her hair told an even wilder story. It showed a life of constant long-distance travel. She starts in Germany, travels all the way to Denmark for about 7 months, goes back to Germany for a couple of months, and then makes one final trip back to Denmark, which is where she died. I mean, this painted a picture of a really dynamic world with political alliances, maybe even an arranged marriage to seal a treaty. The story was perfect. It was dramatic. It made headlines all over the world. There was just one tiny little problem. The strontium analysis itself, it was flawless. The chemistry was totally correct. But the geological map of Denmark they were comparing it to, the very foundation of their entire conclusion, it was contaminated. So what happened? Well, it all comes down to modern farming. For decades, Danish farmers have used agricultural lime to make their soil better. This lime has a completely different strontium signature than the natural geology. All that lime has been washing into streams and rivers, contaminating the water. And the 2015 study? They used this modern, contaminated data as their baseline for what ancient Denmark looked like. So, in 2019, a new team of researchers decided to double check. They went out and sampled water from small, undisturbed ponds and lakes near Egtved, places that modern farming hadn't touched. And when they built a new, pristine map based on that data, the whole story just flipped on its head. The Egtved girls' strontium signature wasn't foreign at all. It was perfectly, completely local.
And with this corrected evidence, a brand new and probably much more accurate biography of the Egtved girl started to take shape. So, instead of an 800-kilometer journey across Europe, it turns out that all the different strontium values in her hair could be found right there within a tiny 10-kilometer radius of where she was buried. So, what about all those changing signatures in her hair? Well, they weren't trips to Germany. They were much more likely signs of something called transhumance. It's a seasonal practice of moving your livestock between different grazing areas. Maybe in the summer, she and her community were up on the plateau, and in the winter, they moved down into the river valley. It's a local life, totally in sync with the rhythm of the land right under her feet. You know, her story is a great lesson in how science is always correcting itself. But the very same science that helped us trace her movements also tells us something really profound about the difference between her world and ours. You see, isotope analysis isn't just for figuring out where someone lived, it's also fantastic for reconstructing what they ate. By looking at elements like carbon and nitrogen in human remains, scientists can map out entire ancient food webs, from the plants at the very bottom all the way up to the top predators. And when scientists did this on a huge, global scale, comparing thousands of ancient and modern human samples, they found something pretty staggering. This chart shows what we call isotopic dietary breadth. Just look at that huge range for pre-industrial folks like the Egtved girl. Now look at us, modern humans. Our dietary breadth has collapsed by 2/3. Our ancestors were, as one study put it, extreme opportunistic omnivores. They ate a massive variety of whatever their local environment had to offer. But today, with industrial agriculture and global supply chains, even though you and I can eat a strawberry in the middle of winter, most of humanity relies on a shockingly narrow range of staple foods. We've basically traded local variety for global uniformity. The Egtved girl's story is a fantastic reminder that our picture of the past is always changing, always being revised by new science. But it also leaves us with a really important question for today. As our food system gets more globalized and less diverse, what have we gained in convenience, and what crucial resilience, something our ancestors understood for millennia, have we lost?